All right, in today's lesson here, we're going to take a look at more questions involving BEDMAS on integers here, so operation of integers here. So let's take a look at these questions here. So for the first question here, we have negative 2 in brackets times a negative 3 minus 5 times negative 2. So again, when you're going through your BEDMAS rules here, you want to take care of brackets first. I see brackets here. Here, if I look in the brackets, there's nothing going on. I just have a negative 2, so there's nothing to do. So now rewrite everything else. This will be negative 2. And that'll be negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8 times negative 2. In this case here, you get 2 times 8 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. And then if you take a look here at the number of signs, I have 1, 2, 3 minus signs being multiplied together. The result is negative 32. All right, for the next question here, again, B for brackets. So take a look at the brackets. Take care of that first. At that point here, everything that you're not touching, write back down exactly as it is. Now, right away after that, you've got no brackets, or nothing to do in the brackets, I should say. Then we have exponents. So writing this down here, you get 5 minus 3. You're going to change that 3 squared to a 9. And then continuing on with your BEDMAS rules, we can see here I now have multiplication happening here. Typically, it's best practice that when you do your multiplication, you should grab the sign in front with it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the minus 3 as well. So now everything I don't touch, I write back down, and this is negative 3 times 9 is negative 27, and we would interpret that as 5 minus 27, in which case you get negative 22. All right, take a look at number 3 here. So same idea, we look at brackets, there's nothing to do. I go to exponents here. Now watch out here, this is equal to negative 9, and the reason for that is negative 3 squared is equivalent to negative 1 times 3 times 3, which gives us our negative 9. Again, the exponent is viewing my base as a 3, not a base of a negative 3. On the opposite end of things, we have this expression here, and this will actually be a positive 9. And again, the reason for that is my exponent is viewing the base this time because of the brackets as minus 3. So this would be negative 3 times negative 3, which you know is a 9 here. So the resulting answer for 3 is 0. So again, as I do these questions, feel free to pause the video, try the question out, press play, see how you do. Continuing this on here, we can see here that this expression here, as we just discussed in number 3, this is going to end up being a 4. So I'm going to put the minus sign down from before, and this is going to just end up being a 4 over 4. This is just negative 4 over 4, which is minus 1. All right, next question here. Again, taking a look at brackets, I've got here a 7 minus 5, and then I have a 5 minus 7. Taking care of these, that's going to be 2 times negative 2, in which case you get a negative 4. All right, number 6 here. So a little bit more going on in number 6. We have nested brackets this time. So when you have nested brackets, you want to go to the innermost bracket, which is going to be right here. Now I'm going to write everything else back down just as it is. And this reduces chances of making a mistake. And 8 plus negative 3 is a 5. Continue this on here, you'll notice my next order of operation would be multiplication. Again, grab that sign in front, so this is going to be positive 2 times 5 is positive 10. And continuing on here, taking care of the brackets, we get 7. And the final answer here is negative 14. All right, let's take a look at the next one. So for the next one here, same idea. You're going to go to your brackets. So I'm going to take care of my brackets. And you can take care of each set of brackets in the same line. So this is going to be negative 2 cubed, negative 1 squared, the whole thing divided by negative 2. So you notice here when I did change the 2 minus 4 to a negative 2, I remembered to put brackets around the expression. The same thing can be said about the 1 minus 2. I remember to put that in brackets. And that's very important here. You'll see why so in a second. If you take a look here, this expression here, by definition here, this will just be negative 8. And again, it's always a good idea to put those brackets down to remind yourself it's multiplication. And this expression here, this time will be a positive 1, and that's over negative 2. Now keep in mind, this is to the power of 3, so there's going to be 3 minus signs. That's why we were left over with a minus sign here. Now dividing this out, before I divide this out, I should go ahead and clean up the top. I get negative 8 over negative 2, and the answer is 4. All right, taking a look at number 8 here. Now, the assumption here is obviously you don't have a calculator, so if someone asks what 2 to the power 9 is, you might not know that. but you probably know what 2 to the power 4 is, in which case that's 16. That's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. So every time you increment the exponent by 1, you end up doubling that number. So 2 to the power 5 is 32, 2 to the power 6 is 64, 2 to the power 7 is 128, 2 to the power 8 is 256, and 2 to the power 9 is 512. So the answer here is 512. Continuing on. So next question here. Again, if we look for B for brackets, I don't see anything in the brackets here, but I do have exponents to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and work with the exponents here. So everything else, I'm not touching. I write back down. So I've got my 8. This becomes positive 9 minus 5 times 7. Now we've got to go ahead and we have multiplication. Whenever you have expressions separated by addition or subtraction, you can almost view these as their own separate problems. You can handle them individually here. And this becomes 72 minus 35, in which case our answer here is going to be 37. For number 10, same idea. We want to go ahead and use this here. This operation right here is actually viewed as multiplication, as is this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and do those two operations here. So I'm going to put that 2 back down. This is going to be plus 3 minus 16, in which case I get 5 minus 16. And the answer to this question is negative 11. All right, let's keep going. So for number 11 here, we want to tackle this problem. We're going to go ahead and B for brackets, no exponents. Then I have division. So when I do division here, I'm going to grab the sign in front with this. So everything else I'm not touching. I'm going to write back down. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is going to be equal to positive 1. So put a plus 1 down. And then I have my multiplication from before. So you can see here when I did copy this over, the 10 got put with the 10, the times with the times, and I'm replacing this expression to exactly what I found it to be, which was a plus 1. If I continue here, I'm going to go ahead and do multiplication again, in which case I get plus 1 times 4 is 4, and the final answer is 14. Continuing on here, going through BEDMAS for the next question, we have division first. So I'm going to take care of the plus 10 divided by 2. So everything else I'm going to write back down. It's going to be negative 8. And then you can see here 10 divided by 2 is 5, positive 5. So put that down. You can see I'm replacing that with a positive 5. Then everything else exactly as is. And you can see here when I write this down, we've got the negative sign with the negative 8 with negative 8 in brackets and this one. So now here, continuing on, I've got multiplication right here. You can see there's 2 are being multiplied together. So it's going to be negative 8 minus 25 minus 3, in which case here I end up getting negative 33 minus 3 is negative 36. And that's the answer for number 12. All right, continuing on here, I've got to do exponents pops up first. So again, everything else I'm not touching. I'm writing back down just as it is, and negative 8 to the power of 3, or negative 2 to the power of 3 is negative 8. Continuing on here, I then have division. I'm going to grab that sign in front with it. So again, this is going to be negative 5. This is going to be 16 divided by 4 is 4. It's positive 4 times by negative 8. Continuing on here, now multiplication kicks in. This ends up being negative 5 minus 32, and my answer here is negative 37. Number 14, we're going to go ahead and do multiplication. So I've got multiplication here, multiplication here. So everything else we're going to write back down just as it is. And you can see here I went ahead and changed the negative 7 to positive 7 and the negative 3 to positive 3. Now you have addition and subtraction all the way across. So you can do that in any order you want. But that's going to be 2 plus 2 plus 3, and in which case the answer here is 7. For number 15 here, again, we're going to take care of the exponents. I can take care of these individually. So this ends up being equal to negative 4. And then this is to the power of 19. That's an odd exponent, so there's an odd number of minus signs, which means that's going to be minus 1. And my answer for number 15 is negative 5. Continuing on here, same idea. We're going to take care of our exponents here. That's the power of 2. It's going to be positive 25 times 10 over negative 50. In this case here, now you can reduce on the top and bottom, which we do in a later lesson. So just kind of doing what we've been up to here. We're just going to multiply the top and then clean this up. This is going to be 250 over negative 50. And this ends up being here negative 5 as my answer. All right, let's take a look at another. So for these questions here, I'm just making the point that when you multiply by factors of 10, you're just adding a 0 to your initial number 13. So in this case here, this is 13 with 1, 2, 3 zeros tacked on. That minus sign I haven't really acknowledged yet, but that's just kind of along for the ride. We're going to go ahead and use it right now. There's an odd number of minus signs here, so the answer is negative 13,000. For this one here, this is 10 to the power of 5. Well, that's just going to be 10 multiplied 5 times. So this is going to be 3 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. And the answer for 18 would be 300,000. Moving on, the answer for 19, we've got here nested brackets. So take care of the brackets first. I'm going to write everything else back down. And that's going to be 4 to the power of 2. And then we've got multiplication kicks in. This is negative 2 times negative 3 minus 8 squared. And then again, this kicks in. Get negative 11 squared. Then exponents kick in. You get negative 2 times 121. Doubling that, you get negative 242. All right, moving on. Number 20 here. So again, taking care of exponents, I've got here, I'm going to take care of my exponent here, and because it is separated by division, I can take care of both these at the same time. So I'm going to write this minus sign down. Now negative 2 to the power of 3, this is going to be negative 8 plus 8, and this here is going to be negative 16. And again, that power of 4 is just being applied to the base of a 2. Now again, you go through multiplication, you have negative 8. This ends up being 8 plus 8. Over negative 16 is 16 over negative 16 is negative 1. And our final question here we go. So with the final question here, going through BEDMAS, B for brackets. So I'm going to take care of brackets first here. So I'm going to write everything else back down exactly as it is. Now, B for brackets, there's nothing to do in the brackets. Moving on to exponents, so I'm going to take care of 2 squared. So let's go ahead and take care of 2 squared. And then we're going to go ahead and do, next thing up here will be division. We'll take care of division right here. So again, I'm just writing this out. You can jump some steps here and do a couple together, but that's fine. This becomes 4 divided by 4 is 1. Then if you take a look here, this is going to be multiplication. So you get 15 plus 4, and the answer is 19 for number 21. All right, that concludes today's lesson on order of operations with integers. Thank you.